Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, discussions over local government reform have broken down between the government and other political parties. A tripartisan approach was recommended by the Premier's Advisory Council, but the Minister has now walked away from the negotiating table. The move labelled as undemocratic.
This Northwest Council has a small population, but it's able to deliver its services by partnering with neighbouring councils.
I wouldn't like to see that interfered with in this latest reform.
Reforms proposed by the state government. Negotiations with other parties have continued over the past 3 months, but
after our third meeting last week, it became clear that the non-government members and parties are not prepared to commit to this process as recommended by PESRAC.
Now walking away from the negotiating table, Labor, the Greens and Independent Christy Johnston were informed this morning.
Minister Jentzsch has revealed himself as being deceitful and duplicitous and totally undemocratic.
Asked to endorse recommendations by an independent panel before it had even been formed.
Recommendations of a panel which is yet to be formed. No one knows the details of who would be on that panel and what the outcome would be.
It was like us signing a blank cheque on local government reform, and that was something that we weren't prepared to do.
The Minister says he will now engage directly with the local government sector.
We're disappointed at the announcement because we had hoped that there could have been a collaborative approach to this by all the parties in government.
A meeting between all of Tasmania's 29 councils will now be called, but some have questioned the government's motives.
It begs the question, what is their agenda? Are they looking at local government amalgamations? Are they looking to slash and burn the local government sector?
The TCCI says decisive action is needed.
There are too many councils in Tasmania, everybody knows that. What we do know is that expecting councils to vote themselves out of existence is impossible and is really unfair.
Roger Jentzsch says he doesn't care how many councils there are in Tasmania, but says the reform is needed.
This is not a cynical tinkering at the edges, amalgamations where we can get them processed. So I'll give it all my best.
Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Police have charged a Goodwood woman with trafficking $200,000 worth of ice. Authorities searching a property yesterday arresting the 38-year-old. 2 shortened firearms were also seized. The charges follow a 3-month police investigation. Meanwhile, police are investigating a Ravenswood house fire deemed as deliberately lit. Authorities attended the blaze at the unoccupied residence in Rosetta Place around 4 a.m. On a busy night for emergency services, they also responded to an accidental fire at a Prospect house, extinguishing it in half an hour. A coroner has found drug use played a significant role in a fatal crash on the Bass Highway last year. Adam Robertson had taken ice and not slept for days when his car veered onto the wrong side of the highway, crashing into another vehicle head-on. Mr Robertson and the 2 people in the other car died. His 2 children were in the back seat and were not wearing seatbelts. They survived. Coroner Andrew McKee says it's a reminder of the consequences of driving after consuming illicit drugs. Tasmanians looking for a COVID jab now have a third option, with the Moderna shot now available in pharmacies. It's hoped the widespread availability could help regional areas play catch-up, with the vaccination rate in many lagging behind the cities.
A shot in the arm for Tasmania's vaccine rollout.
Well done.
What?
Hardly felt it.
Tasmania's first Moderna shots, administered today by chemists around the state.
As soon as I seen the sign, I asked about it. Yeah, Pfizer, the waiting time seemed to be 6-7 weeks before I get in.
The third jab available now for those who'd previously struggled to book in. Lindisfarne Amcowell is even taking walk-ins.
We don't want to say no, and we won't say no. We'll make sure we fit them in, provided we've got the doses, and we've got plenty of doses in the fridge waiting for people's arms.
But there are concerns over vaccine coverage in remote parts of the state.
We're getting some really strong vaccination rates in our major cities, but once you step outside the cities, the vaccination rates drop quite a bit.
Health Consumers Tasmania says less than 40% of people in the Kentish, Central Highlands and Southern Midlands Council areas are fully vaccinated, down from the statewide figure of 54%.
A lot of people under 60 are feeling very safe and secure in the area, and They're waiting till they can get it done locally. As it is now, they've got to travel.
Kentish has the lowest rate in the state. There's currently no access to Pfizer or Moderna in the entire area.
Regional and rural pharmacies have workforce issues just like all of regional and rural Tasmania, and they may not feel that they have the capacity to roll out such a big program.
The Pharmacy Guild and the TCCI are partnering to make vaccination data available to employers. They'll be able to see what percentage of their employees have received the jab.
And we're encouraging businesses to work with their teams to make sure they understand why this is so important for not just health and safety across Tasmania, but also for business.
The data is available from the TCCI on request. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
600 SES volunteers are on standby as Tasmanians brace for what's predicted to be damaging weather tomorrow. Many were today picking up the pieces from ferocious and record September gusts that rocked parts of the state overnight.
Record September winds swept Mount Wellington overnight. Hobart thrashed by winds above 90 kilometres per hour.
We saw gusts through the south and southeast, and in particular that gust of over 170 kilometres at Mount Wellington was very strong for this time of the year.
The weather forcing Pinnacle Road at Bracken Lane to close after a tree fell down. The State Emergency Service called out 9 times to assist.
We've had structural damage, we've had partial roof losses, and we've had trees down.
The Weather Bureau issuing a warning to brace for more damaging gusts on the way, chilly conditions and record snowfall.
We do expect a very strong icy blast of air to come through behind it. With the snow line starting at around 800 metres during tomorrow morning and then lowering in the afternoon down to about 100 metres.
The SES has 600 volunteers at the ready to assist with the wild weather, but they're urging Tasmanians across the state to prepare their homes to avoid any unnecessary call-outs.
It's too late during the event in regard to home maintenance, but certainly during events where it's safe to do so, ensure that your buildings are in good condition, especially your roofing on. And your roof structure.
Police will have an increased presence on the roads heading into the school holidays.
With the extra number of people on the roads, the advice to all motorists is to slow down, take your time, consider whether you do need to be on the roads and always drive to the conditions.
A reminder to heed the advice and stay safe. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania will now have 3 new Vinnie's food vans to keep up with growing demand and assist regional areas desperate for support. The charity says it's not just about providing a meal, but helping people access other services.
Vinnie's volunteer Leon Sharman struggled during the pandemic after the death of his partner. He's now turning his grief into joy, helping Tasmanians in need.
It's just the community spirit, like just getting out there and getting to meet new people.
The van offering more than just a cup of soup.
People would come up to a soup van and say, start engaging, okay, have a sandwich, a hot drink, but then they will start talking about their personal issues, and it's almost like a cry for help.
And can refer them to relevant services. Now St Vincent de Paul has extra power to lift the spirits of Tasmanians facing tough times, in the form of 3 new vans, bringing the state's total to 6, as demand for food relief soars.
Through winter, there has been a significant rise, because if we look at it gradually, the cost of living has increased in Tasmania for various reasons.
The state government bankrolling the purchase and committing an extra $180,000 annually over the next 3 years to pay for the food and running costs.
The support that organisations such as Vinnie's provide is so extraordinarily valued.
This van bound for Smithton, welcoming locals from Monday. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's D's and Dogs of days gone by are anxiously awaiting Saturday's grand final blockbuster. Gary Baker and Robert Groenewegen played through their club's lean years, making both eager to see success.
Despite having played for both the Demons and Bulldogs, there's no question who Gary Baker is backing on the weekend.
What does it mean to Melbourne supporters? I was a Melbourne supporter growing up. I went to the 1964 grand final as a 12-year-old. It was their 6th flag in 10 years. I thought, how good's this?
That day, his heart was in his throat thanks to a runaway Ray Gablick.
The Melbourne defenders were chasing him. Another bounce. He nearly lost it once. He nearly lost it twice. He got to the goal square. He put the goal through. 2 minutes to go. We're behind. And then a miracle happened. A guy called Neil Crompton never kicked a goal in his whole career. The ball fell into his arms at centre-half forward. He threw it on the boot for his first goal. 2 minutes later, the siren went. We won by 4 points.
Baker's playing days failed to yield a single finals appearance, so he stocked the fridge at his Rockwall restaurant and is heading to Perth in hope of seeing glory again.
There's going to be just a day for everybody.
Including former Footscray player Robert Groenewegen and his bulldog, Pablo.
We had a long barren spell up until 2016 and that was a massive thrill and it was just really exciting with a really good squad of players to be back there again contending.
The club's dry spell following the 1954 flag was perhaps best summed up by the Bulldogs changing their song.
When we sang the song, there was a line in it that said, "Remember 54," and then as each year wore on, it became, wow, we can't keep singing "Remember 54." So I think it was after the Bulldogs franchise, changed to the Western Bulldogs, that they might have just amended the song, so they've taken that bit out.
Maybe they'll be singing Remember 21 after Saturday's showdown. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Final rehearsals are underway for Terrapin Studios' first production since the pandemic struck. The cast and crew of a not-so-traditional story, taking 4 years of preparation.
It's a family-friendly show where we're talking about the invasion of Lutruwita, Tasmania, and the causes and effects that that's had on our community, but in a very fun way.
The show runs throughout the school holidays at Hobart's Theatre Royal. Southern Tasmanian charities will come together this weekend to create an op-shop mecca for savvy customers. The market-style event will feature stalls from 9 local charities, all housed under one roof at City Mission's Moona clothing store.
We've got multiple charities across Hobart coming together, and that means that you've got a chance as a shopper to come together and give back to multiple causes.
The inaugural one-stop op-shop will run from 10 a.m. on Saturday.
The Tasmania Devils return to the field tomorrow in Queensland. Our under-17 and 19 sides will face a combination of the Brisbane and Gold Coast academies. Sam Banks-Smith will lead the 17s, while Ollie Sanders and Bain & Lowe will take charge of the 19s in their first interstate hit-out since early July. Despite being 2 Aussie rules heartlands, Tasmania will host South Australia in a rugby union state of origin clash this weekend. COVID crippled the regular interstate carnival, so the 2 states have arranged their own tournament, giving our juniors the chance to impress the Code's talent scouts. They watched their Wallabies claim Bok-to-Bok wins.
It's on its way! It's on its way! It's good!
Now Tasmanians are fighting for a similar pride in a state of origin series against South Australia.
All state tours are always special, but when it's at home, it just makes it even prouder to be representing your state on your home soil.
Usually, the teenage teams would travel to the eastern states for the National Junior Carnival. Like we've seen in other sports, COVID has given us unexpected hosting rights.
Some of the Rugby Australia scouts can actually watch these games as well, because generally at a state competition, that's what would happen.
We even have the elite support.
G'day to the Tasmanian juniors. Good luck in your big game against South Australia coming up. We're up behind you. Give them hell.
As Tasmania looks to produce another Wallaby like Hobart's Adam Coleman to don the green and gold.
We all need heroes, and the Wallabies are doing a great job on the park, and beating South Africa twice on the run is superb for the game.
New direct flights between Hobart and Adelaide help facilitate the interstate showdown. Games are being played across the weekend at Rugby Park at Cornelian Bay. The Tasmania Jack Jumpers have surprised a young fan on her birthday. Players showing up at Lindisfarne Primary School to help 11-year-old Taylor celebrate, treating her class to a basketball workshop.
The look on her face kind of said it all when we walked in. It was good fun. Never done something like that before, but she just immediately started blushing, head and hands, and I know that this is good fun. And I think that's really what the club wants to do, just really be a community team.
Power forward Fabian Krislovic arrived in Tasmania 2 weeks ago. He has joined the Jack Jumpers after 3 years with the Cairns Taipans.
Good evening. It was a top of 18 today in Hobart and 16 degrees for Launceston, Burnie and Devonport. 20 was the state's top at Friendly Beaches. St Helens reached 17, a high of 16 in Flinders Island and Grove, 15 degrees in Ouse, 14 for King Island and Low Head, and Strawn with a top of 12 degrees. There's an active area of cloud around the state, with a rope of cloud extending from the north west to the east, whilst some colder cloud lies to the south. Australia-wide, a frontal cloud band extends from Western Australia to the top of East Tasmania, with a cold air mass to the south and west. Tomorrow shows a cold front near eastern Tasmania and a trough to the west, and a high lies over the Tasman Sea with a weak trough inland and another trough and associated low over WA. The coastal waters will see west to northwesterly winds up to 40 knots and a swell increasing to 7 metres in the west and south. There's a severe weather warning for damaging winds for all of Tasmania, a gale warning for all coastal waters and the southwest lakes, and a strong wind warning is current for the southeast inshore waters and central plateau lakes. A bushwalkers weather alert is current for western and central plateau districts, a warning to sheep graziers for all grazing districts, and a road weather alert is current for snow covered roads for western, central plateau, Midlands, Upper Derwent Valley and southeast districts. Looking to tomorrow's weather, showers and windy for Hobart and Campania with a top of 13, 12 degrees for Huonville, 13 and rain for Launceston and Devonport, and similar conditions for Georgetown. Wet weather as well for Burnie, Strawn and Wynyard, and wind and showers for St Helens and Swansea with temperatures in the mid-teens. For the 3-day forecast, showers about the west, south and central areas on Saturday, but mainly fine elsewhere. Sunday, fine conditions across the state, and fine on Monday apart from some light showers about the southwest. For the rest of Australia, tomorrow will be 18 with showers in Melbourne, a sunny 27 degrees for Sydney, and Brisbane sunny and 28. And it's currently 11 degrees in Hobart and mostly clear there. A shower or two for Launceston and 11 degrees at Devonport as well with showers. And Kim, you might not want to put your washing on the line tonight. It's going to be a bit windy.
I think you're right, and please take care. Please take care. Gosh, I need to go home, don't I? Good night, everyone.